Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to show you exactly how to play the Heathens Trees mashup that we heard at the 21 Pilots live stream. And just a quick thanks to Carly and Court for recommending this tutorial. Now I included a lead sheet in the description below if you'd like to follow along to that. And hey, if you find this video useful at all, I would encourage you to please subscribe. Now let's get started. Alright, so since this version is played entirely by fingerpicking, some of the chords that you're probably pretty familiar with are actually going to be a little easier to play. So I'm going to start off by showing you the simplified fingering for all the chords used in this song, but if you are a ukulele expert and think you can handle it, feel free to skip ahead to this time. And if you're looking for a specific part that you need extra help with, I included timestamps in the description below. So the chords that we're going to be using today are F major, D minor, A major, G minor, B flat major, and C major. And the reason why the fingering for these chords is going to be a little easier than what you're used to is because we are only going to be using these three bottom strings and not the fourth string. So we don't have to worry about that string, and thus we don't have to worry about certain notes on that string. So starting off with the F major, all we need to do is place our first finger on the first fret of the second string, and it'll sound like this. And then we have D minor, in which we're going to keep that first finger on the first fret of the second string, and then we're going to also place our second finger on the second fret of the third string, and it sounds like this. Then there's A major, and all we're going to do for this is place our first finger on the first fret of the third string, and it sounds like this. And then there's G minor, in which we're going to place our first finger on the first fret of the first string, our third finger on the third fret of the second string, and our second finger on the second fret of the third string. And it sounds like this. And then we have B flat major, which is typically one of the more difficult chords to play, but since we are only using the bottom three strings, it's actually a lot easier. So what we're going to do is place our second finger on the first fret of the first string, our first finger on the first fret of the second string, and then our third finger on the second fret of the third string. And it sounds like this. And finally, C major, which is played as normal. All we're going to do is place our third finger on the third fret of the first string, and it sounds like this. And now the finger picking pattern. So just a few quick things to know. First of all, again, we are only using the bottom three strings. And with that, we are actually going to be placing our thumb on the third string, our index finger on the second string, and then our middle finger on the first string. Now these fingers are going to be on those strings the entire time. And when we pluck them, our thumb is always going to be going down, and our index finger and middle finger are always going to be going up. And now for the pattern that we're going to use, we're going to start off by plucking the first and second string with our index and middle finger, like this. And then pluck the third string with our thumb. And when we repeat that slowly, it's going to sound like this. And when we play it a little closer to tempo, it sounds like this. Now, if you are new to fingerpicking, I definitely recommend to do exactly what I just did there and play on open strings. So don't worry about putting any fingers down for the chords just yet. And when you feel comfortable enough, then you can move on to putting the fingers down for the chords. And now the chord progression. So starting off with the chorus for Heathens, we have F major, D minor, and A major, and that's just played on repeat. And here's how that sounds when we add the fingerpicking. And here's how it sounds when we sing along. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden moves. You don't know the half of the abuse. And then the verse for Heathens goes B flat major, D minor, F major, C major, and then it almost repeats it exactly, but at the very end, we play an A major chord instead of a C major chord. So here's how that sounds when we add the finger picking. And here's how it sounds when we sing along. We don't deal with outsiders very well. They say newcomers have a certain smell. If trust issues not to mention, they say they can smell your intentions. You never know the freak show sitting next to you. You have some weird people sitting next to you, and think how to get here sitting next to you. But after all I've said, please don't forget. And now moving on to trees. So we're gonna start with that little transition section where he's singing on La, and we have a D minor chord, B flat major, and then F, and we repeat that. So here's how that sounds with the finger picking pattern. And here's how it sounds when we sing along. La, 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 dee, da. La, 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 dee, da. La, 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 dee, da. And that progression is repeated all the way through the verse. So with the chorus, it goes F major, B flat major, D minor, F major, and G minor. And then we play D minor, B flat major, F, and C, and that's repeated once. And here's how that sounds when we add the finger picking pattern. And those are all of the chord progressions you need to know in order to play the full mashup. Now, before we get into the full run through of the song, I wanted to explain a little bit about what happens in the intro to Heathens. So the intro uses the exact same chord progression for the chorus of Heathens, and you can play it exactly as it is, but during this live stream, Tyler did play it a little differently with the fingering, so if you'd like to learn how to play it like he does, this is how he does it. So for the finger picking pattern, we have this up, down feel, right? Well, for this part, this intro, we're going to just do up, down. So as you notice, there's a little bit of a pause there. And the reason for this pause is so that we can hear that slide in with the fingering. So we're going to start off by playing just on open strings. We're not going to put any fingers down. And we're going to play those first two strings like this. And then, while that's still ringing, we're gonna place our finger down, our first finger, on the first fret of the second string. So it's gonna sound like this. As you can hear, it kind of slides into it. So again, we're going to do up, down. And when we add that little slide, it sounds like this. Again. So the full intro sounds like this. And now I'm going to play the full song for you so that you can practice along and sing along with me. And that, my friends, is how to play the live stream version of the Heathens Trees mashup on ukulele. Now, if you found this video useful at all, I would encourage you to please subscribe as well as ring that bell, and please let me know what other songs you'd like to hear next, as well as if you need any extra help with this tutorial. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Ba, 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 da, ba, ba, ba. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-da. Ba-ba.